not live yet. We're just recording for the podcast.
Perfect.
Uh-huh. And as soon as you guys are ready, you can click. Let me go to Facebook Live here so I can. Let me make sure Facebook's not open here, so it pops up.
This microphone's moving and I can hear it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I hold it with my hand like that.
Okay, I'll hold it.
Yeah, just point the towards you.
I'm nervous, Iida. This is my first time on the podcast.
Alrighty.
Mine too.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. It's going? Are we on?
Soon.
It says meeting is streaming live.
Yeah.
Are we on Facebook though?
A second.
Ooh, I gulp down some coffee. All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Illuminate Barcelona podcast, where we are connecting the local leaders in our wonderful city to you guys, our listeners. I'm so excited today, not only because this is my first time on the podcast, but I have a very, very special guest with me today. Her name is Iida Hakala. Welcome, Iida.
Thank you, Kelly.
We're so excited to have you on the podcast today, not only because you're such a dear friend, but you are an extremely, extremely talented person. Iida is a professional photographer, and she is also a digital marketing consultant. And very exciting, she is graduating here very, very soon this spring with a bachelor's in business administration. So Iida, how excited are you about that?
I'm so excited about graduating. Yes.
Awesome.
Finally.
Yes, finally. So Iida is from Finland, which is extremely interesting. Iida, we want to know, how in the world did you end up here in Barcelona?
We ended up to Barcelona with my husband because of my internship, but actually originally to Spain because I just wanted to learn Spanish. And my husband was working remotely, so that was a perfect combination. He can work remotely and I can study Spanish. But yeah, to Barcelona because of my internship.
Awesome. So how long have you been studying Spanish then?
I think it's now 2 years or so.
And
3 years. No, 3 years. Yeah, I started 3 years ago.
You're very, very good at Spanish, for sure. So your interest in Spanish really kind of brought you to Spain in the first place?
In the first place, we were living in Madrid because I wanted to learn Spanish. So I did university exchange in Madrid. So that's where I kind of learned Spanish. I went to all the classes that were in Spanish without actually knowing Spanish. So that was very tough. But yeah, there I kind of learned Spanish. And then here during the internship, I've been working in Spanish. And I think it was a good combination because like first you study it and you actually don't speak it that much, but then you actually have to put it to practice and like use it every day. So that was really good. But yeah, still got a lot to learn.
Yes, for sure. We can always get better, but you're definitely someone I admire in the ability to learn Spanish, for sure. I've got a long way to go. But you speak a lot and you always take opportunities to use the language. And I think that's, of course, why you do so well. Do you have any tips for any other expats out there like me who really needs to learn their Spanish? What is there anything that really helped you personally kind of make that jump from classroom to conversational?
Yeah, I think the thing that people always say, like, just use it and without fear of failing. I don't know, that was for me like a very difficult thing because I am a very perfectionist. So like I kind of wanted to be prepared before I say something, but then I figured very quickly that that's not going to work. But I just rather have to like ask those stupid questions. And then I remember in Madrid, I was like, in the university, I was always the person who was like asking the person next to me, like, what is this word? What did he say? What did she say? You know? So just asking and trying. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good. We have to let go of our perfectionism and our pride. I think that's a big thing in learning a language or learning any new skill, really. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your work as a photographer. Iida, if you guys don't know, or if you haven't seen any of the Illuminate stuff that is out there, she is the one responsible for our beauty, our beautiful website, our Instagram, the photography that we have, the design. She is the reason why Illuminate Chiropractic Studio looks perceives beauty. So tell me a little bit about your work as a photographer. How did that happen? Is that something you always wanted to do? Is that a recently found passion? How did you get into photography?
Yeah, I would definitely describe it as a recently found passion. Not something that I was like, I'm 5 years old and I just wake up one day and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be a photographer. No, that actually started that my husband used to photograph. And then one day he was like, nope, not anymore. Like, I'm gonna sell our camera. And I was like, no, don't sell it. I want to learn how to photograph. So I took the camera and I was like, we actually did this one trip to the States. We did this road trip and I was just photographing there and it was just so much fun. And I was like, I actually enjoy this. So like when we came back, I was just like starting to photograph like our family, friends and couples and all that kind of stuff, like people. So then I was like, this is actually super cool. And I really enjoyed the process of like, I'm taking a picture, like afterwards also was so creative. So like, I don't know, I just loved the whole process of it. So then I started my own business 2 years ago, like just for that. It was kind of like a hobby that I wanted to do, like just for fun and like a serious hobby, if I would describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, a serious hobby.
Yeah.
Something that you can actually develop a career out of, which you ended up doing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I love that you enjoy not just taking the pictures, but also the editing process. Because I think not everyone enjoys that. Some people like using Photoshop and computer software and doing like the editing stuff, but they don't necessarily have the skills to be a photographer or vice versa. So I think that's really cool that you enjoy that whole process, especially because it seems like everyone out there is a photographer, or everyone can use like a photo editing app, which everyone is using on Instagram and all that. How would you describe your process and the time, I guess, that it takes you to do really good quality work versus, say, someone that's using an app? Like, how would you distinguish that, or how would maybe a consumer be able to pick out from an Instagram feed or something, what is a quality photograph versus something that was just edited and like filtered?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it's like, I think any picture can be quality picture. It's just like, I don't know, I just kind of like see it in a sense, like they're like, I wouldn't necessarily distinguish like, okay, like unprofessional pictures and professional pictures, rather than like all the pictures and this particular picture looks very professional for me, and then this looks very professional. I don't know, like it's hard to distinguish. But one thing I think definitely is like, the other day I was just looking at this one video and it was about like how awesome pictures you can actually take with just like such a cheap camera. And then it was actually like super hard to know the difference of like this picture was taken with a very expensive camera and this one not, and how actually the person who was just editing it was just so talented, so it looked like both of them were like professionals. I think yeah, it comes down to like creativity, like how can you make the picture look good afterwards.
Yeah, how to
you can really make like very ugly pictures look very good. So like my process of like editing, sometimes when I'm taking a okay picture, it just takes a lot of time to edit it because you can really make the magic happen with edit.
Yes, and you definitely do, Iida. And you have such a distinct style too. If any of you out there personal style?
That's very hard because there's so many photographers out there. So I was like, okay, how can I find a style that isn't something that other people have? But then again, it's like colors, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna use a little bit orange. Like that's not something you can like own in a sense. Like everyone can use orange. So I don't know. I think it is a combination of like finding the edit style, but also like finding the way that you photograph in a sense. But I've done all the edits my own, and it's been just like I constantly try to like, I have the edits that I've done, like the presets that I've done, but then like constantly when I'm editing new pictures, I try to like develop them as I'm doing. So like I'm using the ones that I've done and then like adding some stuff. But it took quite a long time to like figure out like what are the things that you should like um, change in the picture. And it like that required a lot of patience to like figure out like, oh, okay, like if I increase the contrast, what's gonna happen? Or like, yeah, sometimes I like saw, yeah, sometimes I like saw some cool pictures that other photographers have taken, and then I was like, okay, like how do they do this? Like what is this thing in the shade or whatever? And then I would like look a lot of tutorials or whatever and try to like figure out what's the thing that they adjust, you know. Yeah, but definitely just trying.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have a question for you regarding maybe somebody who wants to try photography now while they're sitting at home. Maybe they have a not so great camera at home, or even just their phone, and they're bored and they maybe want something to do and they figure, okay, now's a good time. Let me learn this new skill. Let me learn how to use this camera, or how to use my phone, or how to edit pictures. Where would you recommend them to start?
I think a very good resource is just go to YouTube and search whatever you want to learn, like how to find the right angles or whatever. I don't know. Like there's so many like tutorial videos out there, and I think photography is a good example of like how you can learn something without actually having an education to do it, in a sense. Because I haven't studied photography, I just like tried. So I think just trying, and if there's something specific you want to learn, like how to edit with Lightroom or like using some program, whatever, like use internet. It's
yes,
good.
it's a valuable tool for sure.
Yeah.
And YouTube is such a great resource. I think I've underestimated that my whole life until right now. And I think this is such a great time to to explore new things. We're all sitting at home and we're all getting an opportunity to reevaluate our lives, to really just kind of pick them apart and think, okay, what job was I doing before, or what was I studying before? Do I still enjoy that? Should I change that? Should I find something else? Like we're being blessed with a pause and a time to really dig deep and figure out, is what I'm doing or what I have been doing what I want to continue to do? Is it my passion? What is my passion? And I think having a passion for what you do is something that you're really an advocate of and a living example of, because it's so evident in your work. And when you talk about what you do, you're so passionate about photography. You're so passionate about digital marketing and personal branding and developing personal brands. It's so obvious. How can you speak to that a little bit? Maybe for all of us sitting at home that are reevaluating our lives and trying to figure out what we're passionate about. How did you find out what you were passionate about, especially because it isn't what you studied? Can you just speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think passion is a complicated subject, because it makes you think okay, is there a passion that I should find once in my life and then just go for it, just go to that direction for the rest of my life? Or is it something that, hey, now this is a season in my life where I do photography, for example, and that's my passion for this season, and then maybe in another season I might do something completely different. So I've kind of come, I don't know, my conclusion is probably that maybe passion is something that you enjoy doing, that you don't feel that it's a burden that you work in that area. But also I think it should be challenging, not in a way that, okay, I should just 24/7 enjoy everything that I'm doing, I should be happy all the time, but something that really challenges you but also gives you that excitement but isn't a burden, So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah,
but
that's great. That's perfect. So how did you figure out that you were passionate about photography and marketing, which isn't necessarily what you went to school for? And like you were saying, photography is a skill that you don't necessarily have to go to school for, that you have to have a degree to do. How did you figure out, and how did you identify, okay, I'm passionate about this, I should go for it?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have any specific moment of yes, I found the passion. Mm-hmm. Nothing like that, but more okay, as I was saying, Aaron was about to sell his camera and I was I'm gonna go and try it. So then I realized I actually enjoy it. And well, actually there was a moment, I was taking pictures of this one couple, and then when I gave the pictures for them, they said that the pictures came in the middle of their fight, they were having a very hard time in their relationship, and they got the pictures and they were okay, our relationship still matters and I love our family. And it was just complete shift for them, and I was yes, this is what I want to do. I just don't want to take pictures for the sake of myself, but just to be able to give pictures for people and celebrate their special moments, and celebrate or bring the best out of the brands, or bring the best out of the people. So that was kind of what shifted my focus in a sense, with the photography. But I don't know, I just love creating stuff. Just seeing that visual product is something that I really enjoy. And that might be something that's going to change in the future. Maybe I'm not going to do that for the rest of my life, but at least for this season in my life, that's something I'm passionate about. And with the digital marketing, we had to choose in our career, what do we want to focus on? So I chose marketing, service, and sales. And then as we're it was just a lot of things happen, you have to make a decision, and then it shifts your path to a certain direction. So then I had to choose like, okay, marketing, and I'm gonna do my thesis about marketing. So like all of these little decisions that like shifted the focus in a certain direction. So maybe that, like, I don't know, maybe just not being afraid of like making a decision, and maybe surprisingly, unexpectedly, like shifting your focus to something else that you haven't been doing earlier. Like before this university where I used to be, like I used to work with kids. Like I thought I'm going to be a teacher. And
Wow.
I invested a lot of time to working in schools, in preschools, and yeah, everything was like kids related and education related, and that's what I thought that I'm gonna do. But then I completely changed my direction and now
That's
I'm here.
incredible.
So yeah, and I don't know, like that season that I had earlier with kids, I think that's super valuable still, and it doesn't mean that, I don't know, I'm more like that was my passion in that season and now I had the passion in this season, you know?
Yes, there's seasons for everything, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I love that we are now getting this season of pause to evaluate, okay, what are we passionate about now? Is it the same thing? Should we go for something different? And I also love that you said that our passion isn't necessarily a feeling, it comes from the decisions that we make. And I think that's so beautiful and so true, because a lot of people look at people who are doing something they're passionate about and think, oh, they're so lucky. They're so blessed that they get to do what they love every day, and I don't have that. And I think maybe a better way or a new way of looking at that is they made decisions that facilitated that. So maybe like we need to evaluate our decisions, because our decisions really develop into passions, if we're willing to go down that road and take a risk a lot of times.
And I feel like a lot of the times it's like, okay, am I using all of my time just to find that passion? Like I'm so just focusing on the thing that I just want to find that passion, and maybe then I'm like missing out some opportunities that might come ahead of me, you know, because I'm just like in the grind or in that like, oh, what is the passion for me, you know?
Yeah, what am I supposed to do with my life? I think that's everyone's question for the majority of their life. And you always think, oh, when I get older, I'll figure it out. But, and it changes. And I think that also has to do with seasons. What am I supposed to do with my life? Maybe not my whole life. We think there's one answer, but it's not. It's what am I supposed to do with my life right now and in this season? I think that's so cool, because I think our generations before us said you have to pick one thing. You have to do one thing and be good at that one thing. And it stressed us all out figuring out, what should I go to school for? What should I major in? Where should I live? What should I do with my life? And it doesn't have to be one thing.
Yep. Definitely not.
And I think what you do is such a living, breathing example of that. You have this extremely creative, right brain, visual photographer mind. You have that aspect, but then you're also very analytical. You're very data and numbers driven and very at least from a business standpoint, you can make someone's business look beautiful, but you can also make it functional. That's it. And I think that's an extremely marketable and valuable skill set to have. can you talk a little bit about maybe for people who have new businesses right now or have existing businesses that are now going to need to revamp? How much weight, I guess, would you place on visual and functional marketing and branding for people right now?
Yeah. First of all, I love your distinction between like right and left brain. Your chiropractic knowledge comes out there. Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important because this world, like I just checked the other day, like there's closer to like 2 billion website in this world. So like there's so much noise, there's so much content, and there's so much like, how can you stand out? So like people, if they read a text and there's like one picture, they probably look at the picture rather than read the whole text. So like people are looking for quick solutions. They're looking for things that they can see and digest quickly. So I think that's why it's so important that your brand stands out visually, but also like that the content that you're putting out there is something super valuable for the consumer. It's so interesting how people at the end of the day are so selfish. Like they want to hear stories, but eventually, like when it comes to brands, like they don't necessarily want to hear your brand story. They just want to get something out of it. Like what can they get out of it? So like, I don't know, the challenge is like providing value for the customer, and it's just such a powerful way to like be visually like good looking in a digital world, but also like making sure technically, like for example through search engine optimization, how can you like rank higher in Google when people are actually searching something related to your business, you know? So
that's a whole nother world that you've introduced us to, is SEO, search engine optimization. You could have the most beautiful website, the most valuable content in the world, but if no one can find you on the World Wide Web, you can't serve anyone.
exactly.
It's so important. So I think right now is an interesting time with the whole quarantine thing, with a pending recession coming. For new businesses who don't want to spend money and are maybe trying to cut back or don't have the money and are in need to allocate their funds wisely, how valuable would you say that digital marketing, SEO, that kind of stuff is, and why should businesses not skimp out on that?
That is a very good question. I think it has to be a very big priority because as you said, like you're making awesome content, and if no one can find you, like what's the point? You're using your time, you're using your money. So like if you can actually like have a great content, but like for example through copywriting, like have the right words on your website, the first thing that the customer sees is something that they need to see, and that like actually directs the customer just do something. If you're just like hiding like the information that is like actually valuable for the customer, like on your third page of the website or whatever, it's gonna be there for a long time. And
People are physically going to go to those businesses, those brands, those offices, all of that stuff. Yeah, I think that's so important. If any of you guys have any more questions about digital marketing, SEO, anything related to personal branding. Maybe you're listening and you have a small business or a big business, and you really want to work more on this stuff, definitely reach out to Iida. She's an extremely wise wealth of information on that front. I want to shift gears now a little bit toward this quarantine period. And what you're doing at home, because I know you and your husband both work from home, and you were working from home before quarantine happened. So we were joking, you guys were already quarantined before COVID-19. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like working from home with your husband?
That it can be super challenging, but it can be super good also. we try to, like, because before it was that Aaron was working from home and he needed to figure out what's his rhythm and stuff like that, but now that we're both working from home, so we needed to like create this rhythm. So what we do is like we have two separate tables. I have my balcony table, he has our kitchen table. We're in the same room but like separated in a sense. And one thing that has been like super good is that we don't interrupt each other throughout the day. So like if I have something to say, whether it be like super important or not that important, we send each other WhatsApp messages throughout the day. And then when we have a break, we always do lunch together at 2. So then we talk about those things, or like, of course, if it's something super urgent, we like interrupt each other. But like, I don't know, for me at least, like I have throughout the day so many things that are like not that important, and I could just like, they can wait, you know. So yeah,
that's good. That's really, really good advice. For sure. Having that time that you're not interrupting each other, that's something that Francisco and I have definitely taken from you guys and tried to do. We're not as strict as you guys, we're not as good at it, but we're working on it. It's so important because when you're creating, when you're innovating, when you're on a roll, and I know Aaron will definitely agree with this since he's a programmer. You have these string of thoughts, and if someone wants to interrupt you, even if it's something nice, like to ask if you're hungry, you can lose that. So I think you guys have such a great system going that's really, really effective and allows you guys to work more effectively. Do you have any other advice for married couples in quarantine, or just in life in general? You guys have been married for a long time, right?
Almost. This summer it's going to be 5 years.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. So, yeah, do you have any marriage advice for those of us married people trying to survive quarantine together?
There's probably so many other couples that would give so much more better advice. But maybe go on a date at home. That's super good. Like,
I love
even
that.
if it would require €0, 0 effort, just like making the ordinary extraordinary in a sense.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. And it's so easy to lose sight of relationships during this time. Maybe not other relationships, but with the people that you're living with, because now we're all trying to connect with people outside, right? We're trying to connect with our family members, our coworkers, our friends, and a lot of us are using Zoom all the time. We're connecting with all of these people, and we forget about the person that we're living with, or our roommates, or the people that we're living with at home, because we're seeing them all the time, and we forget to invest in that, because we just see them all the time. We see them all the time. And I love your idea of going on a date. Francisco and I are definitely doing that doing that this week for sure. That's such a great idea. Do you mind if we talk about marriage for a little bit?
Sure. I love
So
talking about marriage.
I know. And I want to pick your brain a little bit and talk about this, because you and Aaron, your marriage has been such an amazing example for Francisco and I in the short time that we've known you. It's so awesome to have another young, fun, vibrant couple to look at their marriage as an example and to learn from. And we've learned so much from you guys. But I want to talk a little bit about, just marriage and being a young married couple. You guys got married fairly young.
Yes.
Culturally speaking.
Yep. I was 18 and Aaron was 23. And it was not common in Finland to do that. And people were like freaking out. They were like, I would say like, we got married, and they're like, congratulations, and like shocked, you know?
So how did you digest that? I mean, I think everyone who decides, okay, we're getting married, to tell people, there's always a percentage that's shocked. Everyone wants to offer their opinion and their reasoning of why you shouldn't get married, or you should get married, or you're too young, or you're too old, or he's too old, or she's too young, or all of that. How did you filter that? And I guess know, okay, God called us to be together. He ordained this relationship. He brought us together. I'm certain of that. But maybe a lot of my mentors or spiritual leaders or my family members are trying to tell me the opposite. I guess, how did you differentiate or weigh those opinions?
Yeah, it definitely was a good lesson for me to learn that, okay, I was so young, like 18, and so like unsure of my own thoughts in a sense. But I remember like thinking, this is something I'm sure of. Like, I want to invest in this relationship and I want to be committed to this person. And I was just like, that's it. This is the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I just didn't see anything. Why would I not be like committed right now? And because I just never wanted to date for fun, but I wanted it to have certain goal in a sense, like, okay, we're aiming to marriage. So then I was actually in high school still when we got married, and I was trying to finish my like what's the word, examination.
Your exam.
Yes.
And I was a different word for every country.
Yes. So I was trying to matriculation examination, that's the word. Okay. So I was trying to finish those, and like, you're still in high school, so people were like, there were so many comments and like questions, and it was kind of like a made thing that, okay, Iida was 18 and got married, young bride, and it was like this whole thing that like was surrounding me. But I was just like, I learned from that experience that like, if you are sure about something and you want to make that decision, you have to stand behind it and not let anyone's opinion to come on the way, in a sense. Like, if that is something that you believe in so strongly, like, go for it, like, yeah, I don't know, like at the beginning it was something like, oh no, like, I'm so unsure with this, or like, I'm not ready, or I'm not strong enough to stand behind this. But then eventually it actually became my strength, in a sense, like, okay, like, I can, if there's something I want to fight for, I can come back to this experience and like try to get a strength from that experience, if that makes sense.
Wow. So gaining strength or deriving strength from your marriage, then now in the present, to get strength in completing other things, or things that you don't think you can do. Wow, that's really cool. I love that. Can you talk maybe, or give us an example of what that looks like? Because I think some people, especially now when we're stuck with our partners and our spouses at home, sometimes our marriages can be weakening, or maybe drain our strength. How do you find that your marriage actually strengthens you in other areas of your life? Like, what does that look like?
Like, do you mean like for the sake of having a marriage, like how does that strengthen my life? Or
yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just been like, a lot of people think that, oh, like I want to find the person that I love, and then we'll have a happily ever after life, like, but actually problems start when you get married. No, it's just like, you have to be so much more conscious about yourself, and like, what are you doing, what are you thinking, how are you acting, like, because you're sharing your life with another person and you don't want to hurt that person with the words that you're saying, so you pay more attention to what you're saying or stuff like that. So I think it is extremely challenging to share life with a person, and that should, I think, bring out, like, people should talk about that more, because I feel like a lot of people just think that just finding that one person, it's going to be like so much fun all the time, but it's actually a lot of work. It's like going to gym. You have to like work really hard. So I think it becomes a strength when you actually work on it. Like, just the other day I was like totally not feeling it, and I was like so ready to I don't know, we were just having some argument, and I was like, okay, like, I'm so not feeling it. But then I actually went back to look at our wedding pictures, and I was like, I scrolled through them, like, and at the end of the pictures, I was like, my feelings had calmed down. I was like, I love this person. Like, oh,
that's such amazing.
So that's also one thing I love about pictures, because they can like actually transform feelings. What you felt in those moments.
It is so true, and that's so beautiful. I love how your passion and your life, just everything just came full circle right there in that moment. It is amazing how videos and photos and memories can really put things in perspective and bring us back to, oh my. Elliot just ran into the laundry. He's okay. No.
I miss Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot's having fun in quarantine. But yeah, I just think it's beautiful how you create this experience and these amazing photos for other people, to help them in their time of need. And by doing that, you also remember to do that yourself. And I think that's such a powerful tool for us right now. Like, when you're having a rough time in your relationships, whether it's your marriage or your parents or siblings or friends or roommates, go back into the recesses of your iPhone, scroll through pictures, or when you're on Facebook, like, see friendship, see the connections you have with those people, where they show you the posts you're tagged in or the pictures that you're tagged together in, and check out those photos. Like, remember those times in the strengths and the relationships that you have. That's such a powerful tool that we can use now sitting at home.
Definitely.
Is there anything else, Iida, that you want to share with us before we wrap up? Anything that maybe we didn't cover that you want to say?
I don't know. I've just enjoyed talking with you, Kelly.
Yes, me.
Kelly is such a nice person to talk to.
Yeah, we've had so much fun. I really, really enjoyed doing this today, Iida, with you. This was so fun getting to pick your brain, and get to see, because we see the work that you do. We all see the product, and we see how extremely talented you are. And it was so nice to get to see everything that goes on in your brain behind the pictures, behind the branding, and behind all of that. That was so cool. And obviously just so wonderful to get to hear all the marriage tips. Francisco and I are always welcoming that from you and Aaron. You guys are such a blessing. if any of you guys listening want to connect with Iida, whether it's about photography, about branding, maybe you're sitting at home and you want to start a business and you need help developing your brand, or anything in that regard, maybe you need to work on your marketing, on your SEO, and that's something you want to invest in. Iida, how can people find you?
Yes. So I have Instagram and I have a website. So iidahakala.com, and my Instagram is iidahakala.photography.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll post those two in the comments below. So if you guys want to connect with Iida, pick her brain, or connect with her and collaborate on some projects that you have, definitely reach out to her. She's the hardest worker and one of the most talented workers that I know. So thank you so much, Iida, for spending time with us today. I really enjoyed it. It was a great first podcast for us.
Yes.
we're learning,
thank you so much
as we go.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I love you, friend.
We love you too, Iida. Bye, guys.